What?
Anyway, I hope you like these new products. I really can't
It's
wait
over?
to see how they're used. I can't wait to get back to
You
shows,
didn't introduce
talk to
any new
people in
cameras,
person.
Grant.
It'll be so great. Okay, well take care and thanks for watching the update. Bye.
I mean, there's no new cameras. You're kidding me. Dude, there are no new cameras. Wait, what? Did Blackmagic Design just make a colossal marketing mistake? Or are they going to spring a surprise on everyone and win another NAB Product of the Year when they drop their new cinema camera at NAB 2022? Over the last decade, I have paid very close attention to Blackmagic Design's camera strategy. It took a few years to figure out what that strategy actually was, but now I understand it. And it's pretty simple. Make the best cameras at the most affordable cost possible, and use media and the same accessories for as long as possible. To achieve this, Blackmagic Design has built 3 of its own factories, one in Australia, Singapore, and Indonesia. So there is minimal outsourcing creating inflationary costs. But how does this all relate back to what their next camera will be? How will it be designed? And what functions will it have? And what will the camera actually be capable of? Well, over the last decade, we've seen Blackmagic Design use the same sensor in multiple cameras and the same body designs for multiple generations and variations of the same camera. For example, let's go all the way back to the start. This is the Blackmagic Design Cinema Camera 2.5K. It was released at NAB in 2012 with huge success. Only 1 year later, the same body design was used to upgrade the camera to a 4K global shuttered sensor. After this, the body style was phased out, but the sensor was then used in the 4K Micro Studio camera. Then the original Ursa 4K in 2014, the first generation of Ursa Mini in 2015, and only changed in the Ursa Pro in 2016. The Ursa Pro body style has now been in circulation for 6 years or so, with several sensors being used, namely the 4.6K and the 4K, and now the 6K from the Pocket line being used in the broadcast variation. And finally the 12K, as of this video, Blackmagic Design's last flagship cinema camera. This theme of camera body swapping can also be found in the Pocket 4K being upgraded to the 6K variation, and then the sensor from both variations being used in other camera products. The 6K body style was then upgraded to the new body style with the release of the 6K Pro, which leads me to my first camera release prediction. Currently, Blackmagic Design's oldest sensor, which is still incredible, is the 4.6K sensor from the Ursa Mini Pro G2. This is the highest dynamic range sensor that Blackmagic Design has used over the last 6 years, and the camera most likely to be upgraded is the Pocket 4K. So could we see another Pocket Pro with a 4.6K sensor with an EF mount, internal electronic NDs, tilt screen, removable EVF, media type, and battery upgrade? I think this is highly likely, so cross your fingers. These upgrades would not require much retooling of the Blackmagic Design factories, no new parts would need to be designed, which would keep production costs low, providing us, the end users, with another affordable camera option. And this is Blackmagic Design's secret sauce. Now, if you think that I'm wrong, why don't we have a look at Blackmagic Design's last product releases, the Cloud Store and the Hyperdeck. The Cloud Store is using the chassis from the Blackmagic Design eGPU and most likely the same power supply and other internals. And while the new Hyperdeck does have a new design, some parts come from the editor's keyboard, namely the jog shutter wheel, which we also find on the lower cost optioned Speed Editor. In fact, if we go through all of Blackmagic Design's products historically, you will see this theme over and over and over again. And this method of recycling parts works. This brings me to my next Blackmagic Design camera prediction. We will see the release of an Ursa Mini Pro 12K G2 and a higher dynamic range Ursa Mini Pro upgrade from 4.6K to the new industry standard of 8K, both as Super 35mm digital cinema cameras. There will be no full frame option. Both will be EF and PL mount swappable as these parts already exist, and then the camera bodies will remain relatively the same. But there are 2 key features that will change. The first is the integration of the 6K Pro's electronic ND system. The second will be the removal of CFast cards to the faster CFexpress option. These 2 simple changes will further extend the Ursa Mini Pro's form factor, requiring minimal retooling for these manufacturing upgrades. If you're wondering why change the media type, the answer to that is simple. By simply changing from a 500 megabits per second CFast card to a 1700 megabits per second sustained CFexpress card, we could see a huge bump in camera frame rates at higher resolutions and lower compression levels, or a shift to 16-bit native capturing BRAW, which DaVinci Resolve could already handle. These two changes themselves would be worth it on either of the two existing models. As for Blackmagic Design releasing a box-style camera, I highly doubt this is going to happen. This style of camera also requires too many accessories to be shoulder mountable, would require a complete overhaul of the Blackmagic Design supply chain and manufacturing facilities, which would commercially not make sense when you already have an established ergonomic product like the Ursa Mini Pro. There's just no point throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Blackmagic want you to just be able to pick the camera up and be able to shoot, not buy the camera and then have to try and source a bunch of other stuff. It's just not their MO. So for those wondering, will there be a new Blackmagic camera released in the coming days? My answer to this is yes, there will be. But as for a box style camera and a fully functioning autofocus, I highly doubt it because it's not the history of what we've seen Blackmagic do in the past with their cameras. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you really want a box style camera from Blackmagic Design? Would you be willing to pay a slightly higher price to have it? Or are you happy with the current design language that Blackmagic Design offers with their cinema cameras? Let's start a dialogue, but be respectful to one another. Nevertheless, whatever Blackmagic Design releases, you can be sure I'll be buying it. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to see my reaction video to whatever is released. Because if I'm wrong, I'll surely have a lot of egg on my face. And I have absolutely no doubt that you guys will tell me about it. And with that, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.